Hello everyone, I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to The Audio Analyst. In my closing comments last week, I mentioned the concept of AXPONA-Adjacent events. Events which were being held coincident with North America's most relevant, largest, and foremost high-performance audio show. Two significant events this year included the von Schweikert and Hear This Dealer Symposium, held on Thursday, April 9th, the day before AXPONA officially opened, in a large private space in Perry's Steakhouse, and the Building Emotions Showcase, hosted by The Voice That Is at the nearby Marriott on Friday the 10th and Saturday the 11th. Now, several viewers, as well as several friends and colleagues, had inaccurately assumed that these companies had chosen to set up these adjacent or coincident off-site events because of the costs incurred to exhibit at the Renaissance. It's not that simple. Rather, because there are only so many of the larger, more appropriate spaces at the Renaissance that will allow for the proper display and effective demonstration of a certain level of products, it is a matter of accessibility. As you might guess, once a manufacturer, distributor, or retailer secures a space that is appropriate to highlight and accentuate the power and capabilities of their products, they tend to hang on to that space. And unless they fail to renew their contract for that space in the allotted time, the turnover on such larger spaces is, well, virtually non-existent, and the waiting list is long. That said, let's take a look behind the curtain at the launch event for the von Schweikert Audio Mercury loudspeaker project. Something which has been in the works for some time and that Damon von Schweikert first shared with me when he came to Audio Analyst Central last fall to upgrade my Ultra 9s to the Foundation series of amplifiers and to install the VR30 Foundations for their review. Now, please keep in mind, this was an invitation-only event, primarily meant for dealers and distributors. So what you are about to see here is something that very few had the opportunity to experience. I hope you enjoy it.
We call Mercury, and before Damon and I talk about it for 15 minutes, I want to acknowledge John Hines, my long-term industrial design marketing partner, again, for basically creating this concept around the idea of the Mercury train from the Art Deco era, which was a height of style, technology, timelessness, industrial might, etc. It represented something at the time, and John, being a fan of that period and feeling it's timeless, this is what he came up with. And for us, it resonated. Yeah. And then I'm going to let Damon tell you how it came to be a different type of loudspeaker than our traditional von Schweikert, but it is very much a von Schweikert, and your dad had a little to do with that, right? So, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for coming out. I've had the blessing of being in this industry my entire life, and introducing a new product is a very special time. There's a lot of effort that's gone into it before we bring it to market. And this is even more poignant for me because it's a new line. It's a new experience that is very von Schweikert, but completely original. And, my father had a line that he developed in the mid to late 2000s, which was called the Unifill line. And it focused on a coaxial driver made by Seos and a three-way. So it had a dedicated single woofer or dual woofer, depending on the model.
Yeah.
And it...
Damon, may I?
Yeah.
A quad with bass. Yes. Incredibly coherent and magical in terms of you could close your eyes or listen from another room and feel like there was somebody playing live instruments there?
It was a silent success. And what I mean by that is in the last 25 years, it was the highest unit selling product that we've produced. There's a ton of them out there. You can't find them on the secondhand market because the people that own them won't get rid of them. I have a pair. I listen to it every day. And actually, that kind of started this project. I'll get to that in a second. Then my dad got very infatuated, and that's a thing with designers. We find new technology, and
Greg's going like this. Now for 40 years.
We get excited about
Damon was crawling.
Yes,
It's all good. Sorry, old guy.
and
Right there with you.
And you're listening to that culmination. Beryllium drivers, tweeters, ceramic drivers by Accuton. And we did the VR55. It came out in 2013, very successful. And we just iterated. When I took over in 2015, we jumped to the flagship line with the Ultra 11s and brought it on down. All that to say, it's easy to get distracted. But one day, Gary came by the factory to hang out. We were doing some projects. And we had taken out what was in the sound room, and we just put a pair of Unifield 2s in there that we had for a long time, just to keep the system playing. And I'm in the back, and I'm like, where'd Gary go? He's like, it's been 20 minutes. I walked back
That's
up.
because you were getting dirty and moving heavy boxes. That's why
That's true.
Yeah.
But he was planted on the couch, and he was just very moved by the experience. And back then, we used a Seance Silk Dome tweeter, polypropylene woofer. That was the coax. And then we augmented that with aluminum woofers. And great sound, beautiful, like I said, highly successful product. Ugly box, but that wasn't our thing.
Yeah.
I think it really impressed upon Gary this technology my dad had done back in 2007. And so we began talking about this new product. And Seance has developed this wonderful magnesium coax that is a dedicated mid-range. And it's magnesium tweeter, magnesium mid-range. They've really focused on their surround technology. So this incorporates their brand new surround technology that improves the dispersion, but also deals with the cancellation issues that can happen with certain coaxes. This represents a lot of technology that's with von Schweikert. I'd be happy to talk about the different elements, but wide dispersion is one of our key goals in driver selection. We're very much about, my dad didn't want a sweet spot, he wanted a sweet space. He wanted to be able to accurately reproduce all the sound field as much as possible and make the listening experience something that's shared and not people sitting in a chair waiting for their turn to get into that chair. And finding this driver was part of that success, but also the Accuton cell drivers, the AS168s,
Which we first introduced with our
award-winning VR30s, yeah. And we're enamored by what they can do in such a small space. So the inclusion of this new driver with these existing and, in my opinion, very robust woofers is going to give that full von Schweikert experience, but to what I think is going to be a new client.
I think we think it'll appeal to audiophiles who hear it. We have something. 108 colorways, and it's not just paint; it's mixed medium. Mm-hmm. So carbon, wood, paint, of course, which has been a specialty of von Schweikert for a decade. With Fausto Reyes as our master painter from Fender Guitar. But the idea is literally a customer with his wife could sit down. So in a living room, maybe there's a nice flat screen on the wall. The family can enjoy all the media, but when the guy who loves music really just wants to sit down and get into it, he gets everything that he would get if he bought a von Schweikert. So domestic acceptability, acoustic acceptability, because all of our speakers can go as close as 6 inches to the rear wall because of our ability to adjust bass amplitude based on rear wall reinforcement.
Right.
Did I get that perfect? Okay.
Sure.
So yeah, do we see a wider audience here? Absolutely. And we believe in it. The other exciting thing is that after we're done with this, we will also work on a entry-level von Schweikert with a similar design and similar performance on a smaller scale. And we're shooting for a $20,000 price point. So we think we can do it because we've done it in the past and we already have that on paper. But this line will mean something for us from multiple perspectives, bringing new people to von Schweikert, but also reaching an audience that's a little bit broader than the guys who buy our Ultra 7s for $190,000. So that's why we did it, because Albert had done it. And Damon said, well, heck, let's just reimagine it. What do you want to say before we eat?
Talk about what's on the back.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, this is a
I'll
culmination
move
of
it for you, boss.
All right.
Okay, because I didn't that day when I left the cleanup. Yeah. Guys, if you want to take a look.
So it incorporates, 50 years of what we've been doing. It's my dad and I were always very comfortable designing and iterating. It's what we got into this with, and passion of reproducing the recorded event. But this is the fourth generation of this technology, and I think a lot of people are just beginning to realize what it can do for them. I think it's a big reason why that speaker won the product of the year is room adaptability. It doesn't matter how flat and linear your speakers are in the test environment. It matters in people's homes. In the diversity of listening rooms, especially people with multi-purpose rooms, they don't have dedicated sound rooms. The ability to adjust the bass to where you want to place the speakers or you need to place the speakers in the room. The ability to deal with a multi-purpose room where one channel is reinforced and the other one isn't, and adjust the bass levels in that environment. It's really revolutionary. It's not, I think, for me, Gary could probably figure a way to do it, but I think it's something you need to experience. And once you do, and I think that was covered well in that review, it transforms how you approach it. And instead of the setup becoming an exercise in compromise.
Being dictated.
Dictated and a compromise, right? You like the imaging here, but the bass is better here. Now you can say, no, we're going to get the best imaging and then optimize the bass for that room. And then with this, it also incorporates our ambient inverse replication or air technology, which is, we've been doing it since '92 with the VR4. And it just gives you that depth and sound field and space, and recreates the soundstage unlike, I think, any other products on the market.
I've said that in print and on screen.
And of course,
certainly any other speaker in a box. So yeah, I mean, that's Mercury in a boat. We're not, now we need to create a one-piece front in order to manufacture this efficiently and accurately. And we'll be spending probably the next 4, 5, 6 months. And we think by the end of the year, they could be in the showrooms.
Right.
And we got a great team on that. And
all right. Well,
yeah.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Let's have a little lunch.
Yeah.
Okay. And really just, this is exactly what we were hoping for.
I hope you found this development as fascinating as I did. The return to the very successful design architecture that Albert von Schweikert launched so successfully nearly 20 years ago is not only fascinating to me, but it also signals a departure, a move in a very different direction from this venerable loudspeaker manufacturer. I'll be very curious to hear the final production Mercuries, and you may expect a full report on that experience here. Next up, we'll hear from Doug White, the principal of The Voice That Is, located in Broomall, Pennsylvania, a western suburb of Philadelphia. Doug has been a premium TIDAL dealer since 2010. TIDAL Audio GmbH is a luxury German manufacturer of ultra high-end loudspeakers and electronics, established in 1999. And Doug had reserved and set up 2 larger rooms at the Schaumburg Marriott, less than 3 miles from the Renaissance Hotel and Convention Center and just about a 10-minute Uber ride away. The larger O'Hare room housed one of his statement systems, and as usual, it sounded fantastic. But the real focus, the centerpiece of this event, was the launch of the TIDAL Piano Classic loudspeaker, driven in the smaller, exquisite-sounding Midway room. This room featured a metronome optical disc player streamer DAC, a Vinnie Rossi integrated amplifier, used all Siltec Ruby Crown cables, Equitech power conditioning, and an ICTRA design equipment stand. Now, I'll let Doug walk you through the details and explain the significance of this product launch.
Hey, welcome to my room here at the Chicago Marriott in Schaumburg. My name is Doug White from The Voice It Is. A lot of you guys know me already. And you know what? I'm having a great time this weekend. This is the 2026 version of my experience here at the Marriott. I want to point out a couple of things, just kind of give you an overview of what the room is. I am using the Metronome Aqua 2 SACD player, CD, DAC, streamer. This thing is unbelievable for a price that you would otherwise have to spend a lot more money. I think you may want to check that out. You can call me on that. We're not going to get too much of details in it, but you know what? We have a touch screen here, remote control, top loader with a puck for those guys who like to use pucks. Okay, and I got to tell you, this is an amazing product. Something that we can do very simply in your home. I think that you can see that this system is very, very simple. A lot of people are downsizing, and it's very, very important to be able to fit this in your new environment. Next, I want to point out to you the Vinnie Rossi Brahma 2 integrated. You know what? It's beautiful, 300 Bs, has enough power to drive a lot more product than we're using here, and I think that you'll really love it. Very, very well made, and I think you can see that it's beautiful. Down on the bottom, I have the TVTI version of the Equitech 2RQ. This is not going to be found just anywhere. If you want this thing to deal with balanced power in your home and bring your whole system to life, call me up. I can hook you up. This is what has been successful for me through all the shows that you've seen me do over the past decade. Like I said, this isn't something you're going to find just anywhere. Holding everything together is the ICTRA Design Proto Rack. This is really all you need for a lot of people in their homes. It's not in your sound stage at all. It's beautifully made. These shells come in different finishes. This one you really can't really see too much about the finish, but it is a custom veneer that they did for me. They have a standard walnut finish, black, pretty much anything that you want to match your environment. Made in Germany. You'll really, really like that. Connecting all of this is Siltec's Ruby Crown cables from the DAC into the integrated out to the speakers. Again, very, very beautiful sound, cables that are easy to work with. They're flexible. The Siltec cables are a gold, silver metallurgy that actually works well for you. Moving right along, this is the big deal of this year's show. This is a pre-release, okay, because we're seeing it here in my room prior to the announcement next month. Okay, so you're seeing it here first, folks. This is the TIDAL Piano Classic speaker. Now, you said, wait a minute, we've seen the piano. Do you have a G3 out there somewhere? I'm like, yes, the piano G3. I've done shows with it. It's been reviewed. But you know what? A lot of people just can't get there at that price point. And Jorn decided one day, as he's walking through the factory, he's walking by the original pair of the pianos, his very first speaker. And he looked at it, he says, you know, I want to be able to give people the opportunity to hear what we did 27 years ago, but bring it back He said, I want to update the daggone thing. It is a new version of how the company started. This speaker, updated cabinet, all new custom drivers that are only available at TIDAL, not something you're going to find at Parts Express or any other's product, okay? Where you're used to seeing diamond tweeters in all of TIDAL speakers, you will not see that here, okay? And the reason why you're not going to see the diamond tweeter in this speaker because it wasn't available 27 years ago. But what you're seeing here now is an updated version of that product. No polished stainless steel rings, no polished stainless steel feet that you see in the others. You don't have all the special trim that you see in the Piano G3. And the reason why you don't see that is because, first, it wasn't there. He didn't do that then. But more importantly, he wanted to give people an opportunity to get into TIDAL at a price today that he couldn't do with all of those extra components. So to get you back to where he was all those years ago, he said, I'm bringing back the Piano Classic to give people an opportunity to get into the product without starting at $64,000, but starting at less than $32,000. One of the things I really want you to realize, even though this is historically the first product that TIDAL made, what they did not want to do was compromise on the finish that they're so well known for. I could tell you that this is still 40 pounds of lacquer on this thing, all right? So that finish that you're used to seeing on TIDAL products, still no compromise. You got to see this thing. I hope that you have an opportunity to come over and see me these couple days that I'm here at the show. If not, you give me a call, make an appointment. We can get together. I can show you all the products that you're seeing in this room today and give you an opportunity to listen. And quite frankly, this is special. You're seeing it here first. They're going to sell really, really well for people who don't have a lot of room and can't get into the G3. But you know what? They'll have the benefit of having TIDAL sound in their home at a lot less money. Thank you very much for joining us here. I really appreciate you coming here. I hope that you really had an opportunity to come see me at my special event outside of the show and over here at the Chicago Marriott Schaumburg. Thank you again. Bye.
Thank you, Doug. I have to say, this smaller system, fronted with the new overachieving TIDAL Piano Classic reissue speaker, was simply enchanting. I hope you take the time to reach out to Doug and arrange an opportunity to experience this remarkable new homage to TIDAL's origins some 27 years ago. It's an amazing sounding speaker, and the entire system really was an exceptional accomplishment in its price range. While this was the second year that both these companies held off-site events coincident with AXPONA's run at the Schaumburg Hotel and Convention Center, this trend is sure to pick up momentum moving forward, given the undeniable success of both events. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this look behind the curtain at both VSA and TIDAL's new loudspeakers. As always, thank you for taking the time to drop by today. Further information on supporting the channel and my efforts may be found in today's description section or at my companion website, theaudioanalyst.com. Please stay safe and keep the music playing. Till next time, cheers.